yeah, just a very quick insight into my year so far. By all accounts, it's been, for me, an absolute banger of a season so far. Not over yet, but yeah, I'll fire straight in with me capture of the parrot from Wazing. Basically, I'm going to keep it fairly short, but when I actually caught him, I'd been fishing a little area. There was a little hump that I was fishing, little drop off of a hump, and this one particular time when I caught him, I'd got back into the swim, I'd got my bait out, and what I would do is I'd walk backwards and forwards, and I'd have a look at the spot off of a little tree that I could get up, and got the rig all sorted out and everything. Anyway, a few hours later, I've had an absolute massive, what turned out to be a liner, which I hit. Nothing on the end, got the rod back into position, bang on the money again. And I kept walking back, I just couldn't sit still, just kept walking up and down, having a look from up this little tree just to see if I can see what was around and all the rest of it. Anyway, one particular time I was up the tree, and I saw the water rock ever so slightly. The water rocked above the spot, and I thought, oh, with that, I've had a single beep, and I thought, oh, I better go and sort of check that out. As I started to clamber down off the tree, the receiver's gone into absolute meltdown, and I come running through the bushes and the trees, you know, with one thing on my mind, you know, I've got to get on that rod, and you know, I sort of hit into it, and at first I thought it'd actually done me in the weed. It was just like bringing in a dirty, great big weed bed, really, and sort of pumping it back and back, not really knowing if there was one on, but you know, not wanting to jeopardise if there was one on. And as it got a little bit closer, I could feel a couple of little sort of knocks and thuds on the end of the rod, and I thought, oh yeah, well actually there might be one on here. And then sort of he was about 30 odd yards out, shook the weed that was on his head, and yeah, then I definitely knew I was into a big fish. Typical big fish, you know, slow, heavy, meaningful runs, and you know, I could see him twisting and turning in sort of the deeper gully that he was in. It was crystal clear water, and he was just trying to bury his head down and sort of shake the hook. Well, eventually I managed to get him up, gulp a big gollop of air, and got the net under him first time. Bang, 62.5 pound, the parrot, absolutely immense carp, longest thing I've ever seen, and you know, quite a good looker too. But yeah, that was that, and obviously that would have made my season there and then. But as it turned out, I had another ticket on a little Kent syndicate. Didn't really think I was going to get round to fishing that one this year, but you know, I found myself there the very next day, and had a quick chat with a couple of my mates that fish it and stuff like that, and it's quite busy, but I managed to get in a swim where, you know, there was a lot of carp in this swim. I couldn't actually believe that no one was in the swim, to be honest, but got in there, and all my mates kept saying was, Georgie boy, it's written in the stars, you're having black spot, which just so happens to be the biggest one in there. And next morning I've had a bite again, another slow, meaningful sort of fight. You know, see him again in the clear water, could see him, and I remember thinking to myself, God, mate, that looked bigger than the parrot. You know, it was certainly a bulkier fish, but it was just a bit shorter, and managed to get him in the net with the aid of another chap called Daryl that was fishing next door. And you know, I didn't know what I was looking at really. I hadn't studied any of the fish, you know, and he's peered down into the net, and he's gone, mate, you ain't gonna believe it, you've got black spot. And I was like, you're joking. Like, mate, you've got black spot. And yeah, it looked massive. In the end, it ended up pulling the scales round to 58 pound and 6 ounces, I think that went, and absolutely immense carp. You know, not even 2 days, you know, it's 36 hours, and I'd banked sort of my target and what would have eventually become my target at this Kent syndicate, and I was already staring at it in the bottom of my net. But you know, that was that sort of chapter. The spring ticket that I had finished on there, and from there on it's Barford. We're joining here on the banks of Barford, and you know, I've had not a bad run actually. Last 2 days, using my tackle there, which obviously, you know, fishing a place like this, your tackle needs to be right up to the job. You know, it can be some brutal fishing, a lot of snags, a lot of buoys, you know, so the tackle needs to be up to the job. But yesterday I managed to bank 3 fish out of 4. Bit gutted I lost one, just a hook pull, unfortunately. They happen sometimes, but 2 30s, and managed the twisted mouth common, which is the common that Scott Lloyd had just before he caught the Barford common, which got me a little bit excited, and even more so this morning when it rattled off. Another 3 bites this morning, banked all of them, 2 30s up to 36, and a really nice looking 20-pounder. So got a few more days left of the session, another 3 nights left, and it's looking good. We seem to have the area rocking, and fingers crossed. You know, that common hopefully won't be so far away, but that might be a little bit too much to ask in one season, but you never know. Brilliant.